Why haven't we seen a modern-day Beethoven or Mozart in the classical world? Classical is no longer the epicenter of the musical world. How are we qualifying Beethoven or Mozart? If it's just about popularity, we probably don't, because orchestral and other large ensemble arrangements just don't occupy the same space they did in arts and culture. It's just that the cultural real estate is more crowded. Technology allows for folk or pop genres to reach wider audiences across social and class boundaries in a way that the system of patronage and academia thanks Brahms. That elevated Mozart and Beethoven and others to where they stand in history and culture is much less relevant. If it's about mastery and innovations in large ensembles, there are still plenty of composers alive of major significance even in this subset, Jennifer Hayden and John Williams for example. If it's about mastery and innovation in classical or Western art music in general, there are countless composers, conductors, arrangers, etc. They were both pop stars of their time and place. If you want to see the modern equivalent, you are talking people like the Beatles, Michael Jackson, Prince, etc. There are certainly popular orchestral composers today, but they make their living off of movies and the like. Joe Hisaishi, Danny Elfman, John Williams, etc. They produce orchestral music that people love, but they are no longer rewarded for pushing the musical envelope. They are rewarded for making the movies more engaging. I would put John Williams and James Horner up there with them. Howard Shore is up there. His name is John Williams. Not sure if they fit into the exact category of the two in the title, but Philip Glass and Steve Reich have had massive influence on modern classical music, but as others have said, it's no longer the only serious music around. Contemporary classical music is much less accessible. Lots of it sounds like, frankly, absolute garbage to the average person, and even to me who lives and breathes classical music. Most would regard it as so far divorced from what anyone would consider music. Just look up anything by Brian Ferneyhough. Your average Joe's not going to latch onto that like they would to Beethoven or Mozart. Film composers like John Williams are much closer to that level of wide accessibility needed for such an impact. We've gotten to a point where it's harder to be musically innovative within the realm of classical style music, while also preserving the integrity of the common features the average person enjoys in music. A lot of contemporary classical tries to be innovative by eschewing traditional senses of melody and harmony and etc. While back in Mozart and Beethoven's day, there was still plenty of innovation left to be done in those fields without discarding them altogether. Eddie Van Halen. Those types score movies and many of them are very memorable. John Williams comes to mind. Hans Zimmer, James Horner, John Williams. There are still amazing composers today, and they do get a lot of rewards and praise for their work. But it's just not as earth-shatteringly important anymore as it was during a time where music was basically the only entertainment available. We have Stockhausen, No, Leiji, Rim, and so on. Hans Zimmer maybe. Have you listened to Prince? Not classical music, but he was as talented as any of those wigged oldies. His name is Richard D. James? I don't know what you're talking about. Have you never heard of John fucking Williams? I think that Lennon-McCartney could very realistically be seen this way in 100 years. ABBA as well. From what I've read, listen to Brian Wilson. Not a classical composer, but he was the main writer for the Beach Boys. He is generally considered, from what I've seen, to be the greatest musical genius of modern times. He's called John Williams. I don't think you'll see it much in the classical world because it's considered very conservative and not that attractive to the more eccentric creative types. Modern artists, I'd say, are on the same level as the classical greats in terms of creativity, mastery, and popularity would include Nirvana, Jimi Hendrix Experience, Queen, Aphex Twin in other domains than music, Banksy, Terry Pratchett, David Lynch, the Wachowskis and David Lynch again, because David Lynch